Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe. Part 6. The Diary. Then I started to make some furniture. I knitted a chair and a table very much. I used the boards from my rafts and the ship to make them. Next, I made shelves inside the cave. I arranged my tools on them. My clothes and guns were hanging there as well. I was very pleased with my work. The cave was comfortable. Everything was in order, and I could easily find whatever I needed. I decided to write a book. I wanted to describe my daily activities in it. It did me good to put my thoughts to paper. I started by writing down my experiences from the very first day on the island. When I got to the present, I continued describing interesting or important events in my life on the island. I decided to make a schedule to organize my time better. Every morning, I worked for a few hours. Then I worked until noon. I had lunch and I slept after lunch for 2 hours. Then I continued working until the evening. I was expanding my cave with the tools I had. I needed to make the cave big enough, as it was going to be my kitchen, living room, bedroom, and cellar all together. When I almost finished my cave, a great quantity of earth fell down from one side. I was scared because this could have killed me if I was in the cave at that time. Afterwards, I had a lot of work to clean the cave. The next week, I spent putting long boards on the sides and also on the ceiling of the cave. I wanted to avoid such disaster from happening again. Little by little, I began arranging the furniture in my new home. The next 3 days, the weather was bad. It was raining day and night, but it was still warm, so I continued with my task inside. It was never cold on the island. It was good for me. At the end of December, I killed a goat. I also hurt another one. Its leg was broken, so I took the goat home on a string and took care of it. After 2 weeks, the goat wasn't scared. This event made me consider keeping animals, so I could provide food for myself when the gunpowder was finished. I explored the island, and I found more goat in the valleys in the center of the island. The animals were very shy, which made it difficult to approach them. I wanted to try to domesticate some goats. I only needed an opportunity to do it. I had a plan. I returned with my dog the next day. He was my hunting partner. I told my dog,
"Sit down. Wait. Don't move."
Then I went around the goats, but in a big distance. When the goats were between me and my dog, I hid behind a tree. Then I shouted at my dog.
"Come here."
He started to run to me and the goats too. I stayed in my place behind the tree. When one of the goats were close to me, I jumped up and I caught its leg. I was holding the goat for 2 seconds, but then the goat kicked me with its second leg in my nose. It hurt a lot. I let the goat go, and the goat was soon gone. We weren't successful. This wasn't a good way to catch a goat. We had to do it differently. I told my dog,
"Let's go home. I need some rest."
I spent the period between January and March working on my fence. It took me a long time because I wanted to make it very thick and strong. Meanwhile, I found pigeons on the island. They weren't nesting in the trees, but in holes of the rocks. This made them easy to capture, and their meat was good. I could also cook and eat their eggs. This is what I was surviving on while I was working on my fence. While cleaning and arranging my home, I found a small bag. There used to be corn inside, but now there were only some leaves and dust at the bottom of it. I emptied it outside my fence because I needed a bag for gunpowder. This was just before the rains. About a month later, I was surprised to find a few green leaves growing there. It was young corn. Words couldn't express how happy I was to discover corn growing just outside my fence. It was fantastic. I could bake bread in the future. On the 16th of March, I was inside my house when I saw pieces of earth falling from the roof of my cave. I was frightened and thought all my efforts would be lost again. I ran outside the cave. Suddenly, I noticed the ground was shaking everywhere. It was an earthquake. I was paralyzed with fear. Some big stones were falling from the hill, but I was lucky. They didn't hit my tent. Although the earthquake was soon over, I was afraid to go inside the cave. I was sitting on the ground in front of my tent, still very upset and scared to enter. I started to think that it was better not to sleep in the cave. It wasn't very safe in case another earthquake came. But I didn't want to sleep in the tent, so I decided to make a house instead of the tent. I wanted to use the cave only as a cellar. The next day, I started to build the house. It was in April. It took me 3 months to build the house, but I was happy with my new home. I was ill in the last week of July. I had a temperature. I couldn't get out of the bed. I was very weak. I could do nothing in that state. I had crazy dreams. The dreams weren't very logical, but for me, they were real when I had them. Thank you for watching. This is the end of part 6. To be continued in part 7. If you like this story, please like, share, and subscribe. See you then.